We're going to start with this one from Parkour Guy, who, thank you for $5, Parkour Guy. Is it a good idea to use clear shrink wrap on an external VTX on a whoop to prevent shorting with the AIO, or will it get too hot? Parkour Guy, the way that the VTX should be mounted, whether that's with tape or screws, should prevent it from shorting to the main board. It shouldn't make contact. If you wanted to take something like Kapton tape and put it around it, that will cause it to heat up a little bit. I'm not sure how much that matters in terms of real world effect, but it will cause it to heat up more. I would rather mount it in such a way that it doesn't make contact, although once it starts crashing, it can be really hard to say for sure. Here we've got Riz Hassan. Thank you for a $20 super chat, Riz. I'm super excited to see JB dipping his feet in Ardupilot. The Ardupilot community needs you. Yeah, I mean, I am excited to, I've already got some ideas for how I could potentially get that drone flying better, and we'll be doing a follow-up video to explore some of those ideas. I have to say, you know, I'm not quite sure what I should do with this drone. Like, I could just like add more sensors to it, I guess. But in terms of the Ardupilot community needs me, I'm curious. Like a lot of times I get ideas for videos from questions that people ask me. And then I'll be like, oh, everybody wants to know the answer to this question, then I'll make a video about it. I don't know what the questions and problems are that the Ardupilot community has that they're trying to solve. So if anybody does have ideas for that, by all means, you know, email me and let me know about content you'd like to see. With FPV drones, I just love FPV drones. I love flying FPV. And so I'm kind of self-motivated to do things. But with this style of drone, it's more of an academic interest. I don't like have a problem I'm trying to solve for myself that you can come along with me. And so it's a little bit of a different approach to the content. Buckethead. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Buckethead, I travel every week and I'm looking for a radio smaller than the Boxer with full-size gimbals. There isn't one, I don't think. Full-size gimbals? What do you mean by full-size? Because like all of the other radios like the Tango have smaller gimbals. I don't know what measure, like millimeters or whatever. None of them have gimbals as big as the Jumper or the Boxer or the TX16S. Like you mentioned the Jumper T20. The Jumper T20, oh, no. The Jumper T20 does have full-size gimbals. You are correct. Well done. What the F? What was that? Why was music playing? Why would you do that? Did a video start? Okay, it didn't start again. Yeah, it does have full-size gimbals. But as you said, the build quality is questionable. I don't know of another one. Everything else, like, Radiomaster Zorro has micro AGO1 gimbals. They're very good. You can get it with the AGO1 gimbals. These are not. They are smaller, but they're for good quality. The Zorro has relatively short battery life. I mean, maybe the T20 is worth a punt. Maybe it's worth, you know, considering the T20. There's a lot to recommend that radio. I don't know of another one, though, that has, like, full-size gimbals. Adrian CP, thank you for a $5 super chat. I bought the Moz 2.7 and ran into signal issues from day one. Moved the antenna to the arm, now I get a mile. Do you have any such issues? I assume you're talking about the control link, right? Not the video link. The way that they mount the antenna, and I think I did call this out on my review, the way that they mount the antenna inside the front is less than optimal. I didn't do a long-range test because flying beyond visual line of sight is prohibited and difficult to maintain any kind of plausible deniability on. My official position is that I don't ever break the rules because it would be stupid to go and create a public record of you admitting to breaking the rules, right? That would be dumb. If you ask me for a more nuanced perspective, I would say that I definitely am not going to make a video of me doing something where there's not really any plausible deniability. right? At least, if you're going to appear to break the rules, then you should have plausible deniability that prevents anyone from being able to take action against you, or at least limits their ability to do it. And with long-range flying, think about it. You pretty much have to say, well, you don't have to reveal your GPS coordinates, but like you need to say how far out you are. And it's like pretty obvious that you're beyond visual line of sight. And it's not like I live in an extremely unpopulated area where if I was just like in the desert or in the middle of nowhere in some farm fields or some mountains, maybe I would chance it and just be like, look, guys, come on, who are we hurting here? But I live in a relatively populated area, and there's not really, it's just something I've decided isn't worth the risk. So I didn't do a range test, but I agree that the mounting of the antenna on the Maz 27 is less than ideal, and moving it out of the body definitely should improve your range. I'd expect you to get more than a mile. Yeah.
You just got to get a really tall tower and put it on the tower at your house, and then drive down the road, and then try to do it from the road to your tower, and then it'll technically be legal because you're not flying the drone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could stage tests like that, but
right.
If you're not actually flying the drone, how realistic is the test? And you still need line of sight. That's the other thing. Like you would have to. I live in a relatively hilly area, so maintaining line of sight is difficult. So it's the kind of thing I might be interested in, but I just like draw the line and say I'm not going to touch it and let other people do it. Like Wesley Vardy, who got dinged for doing it and now doesn't do it anymore. So Chris White, thank you for a $5 super chat. Let me just see if here's Chris White's question. I have an Avata with FPV controller and DJI goggles too. I want to buy a Chimera 7. Can I use my existing goggles and controller on both drones? Yes, you can. As long as you buy the Chimera 7 with the O3 air unit, which I would assume is the only one you can buy. Yeah, you're good to go. You can bind the controller to the O3, and you can use it with the goggles too. 100%. Squirrel RC, thank you for £1. My OSD just stopped showing up one day. Nothing changed in Betaflight. I don't think you need a new flight controller, Squirrel RC. Well, Squirrel RC, we need to know what video transmitter you're using. Is it analog? Is it digital? Is it O3? Is it Vista? That's a key piece of information that we can't fully answer your question. If it's analog and the OSD just stopped showing up, probably the flight controller is damaged. That flight controller on an analog flight controller has an OSD chip that is responsible for drawing the OSD on top of the video feed. And if that chip breaks, then your OSD goes away. That's well, it's not common, but that of all the ways that the OSD could break, that's the most common one. The other thing is that if it's digital, if you've got the Vista, a problem that happens is that the TX or RX wires will have a voltage spike that damages a diode that protects those wires from voltage spikes, and the diode basically acts like a fuse and dies. And if that happens, you will no longer have OSD. There is a workaround for that. But that's we don't even know if that's your video transmitter now, so I don't want to dive too deep into it. If you will email me and let me know what your video transmitter is, we can dig further into it.